Coming up on Tech News Today, glory in the remodeled Twitter. Witness the beauty of IE9 and go play in traffic with your license plate as an email address. We'll explain.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, September 15th, 2010. Tech News Today is brought to you by the Tyrell Corporation. More human than human. For 10% off the life of a Nexus 6, use the code word UNICORN.
What?
Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Becky Worley.
Behind the boards are excellent producer Erik Lanigan. How you doing, Erik?
Good. How are you guys?
I trumped you with the how you doing.
You threw me for a loop
there.
there.
No, you rolled with it, though. I can't mess that guy up.
Tyrell Corporation?
Yeah, you know, they make the Nexus 6. Skin jobs. Off-planet stuff. They come on planet, you got to send a Blade Runner after them.
I'm done with you and your illusions.
How about inside Internet Explorer 9?
Well, when you showed it to me this morning, it was pretty exciting.
Beautyoftheweb.com is where you go to download it because it's so beautiful.
It's a beta.
It is. It's a new IE9 beta, but they had a launch event for the beta. They are proud of the IE9. Mm-hmm. And they have come a long way since the IE6. I will give them that.
Well, yeah, and IE8 was a year and a half ago. They got a ton of criticism. It wasn't fast enough. It didn't support enough modern web standards. But this one, really lean, mean, aero glass machine.
Yeah, it. You know, I hate to play into the beauty of the web crap, but it's pretty nice. I'm using it right now in a virtual machine to look at all my stories and everything, and it's been running great. More standards compliant, so it's very HTML5 friendly. One of the most standards compliant browsers out there, possibly, by the time it comes out. It's faster because it has full hardware acceleration. I haven't even been able to really take advantage of that because I'm running it virtually, but it is faster, and I can tell that already. Weird design changes. They're trying to emphasize the website and stop this being a like, hey, we're going to throw a bunch of cool stuff at you like they have in the past,
like tools.
Suggestions and tools. So the tabs are on the same row as the location bar. That's mighty cramped. I got like 15 stories open right now, and the tabs are like, you know, as big as my pinky. They do automatically shrink down though, so they don't spill as far off as say Firefox does. I
would have liked to have seen a hover over feature where maybe if you hovered on the tab, it would expand into the window the way that it has the live preview, the way it is in Windows 7. Yeah, that would have been a cool way to kind of be an antidote for that.
The location bar doubles as a search bar, just like in Chrome.
With the Bing.
Lots of buttons are gone. I don't know why. You know, they don't love buttons at Microsoft anymore. They're going all Steve Jobs. No buttons on the Connect. They got the Yay No Button site, and now all they have is the back and the forward buttons by the address bar, and then over on the right they've got the home, the favorites, they don't call it bookmarks, and settings buttons.
You also have the frame that is in this Aero Glass format, which gives you sort of a soft, I don't know what you call it, a soft sort of view to what's underneath in your desktop. A translucence towards your desktop or windows underneath, which, although it is pretty, sometimes I find it distracting. And then, Tom, I know how excited you were about the Snap feature. It's so innovative.
That was really ridiculous. We saw this video that was done that showed how you can now use Snap because you can pull a tab out into its own window, and every window snaps.
Well, but their whole thing is that you can snap them to be side by side.
Yeah, like you could with every other window in Windows 7, including Internet Explorer 8.
You don't see the beauty of the snap.
No, I saw the beauty of the snap when it was introduced 2 years ago. Yeah, there's nothing new there.
But it's worth downloading the beta. I mean, it seems pretty slick.
You can pin websites to the Windows 7 taskbar, which is kind of cool. Very, very handy if you want to put your email down there and just check your email. And also the download manager gets a virus checker. That's pretty important.
Definitely.
So I'm liking the Internet Explorer 9.
Yeah, worth the download for sure.
Definitely, I would give it a download.
Nice. Thumbs up,
this were
download.
All right. There's also Google planning to Get Social, and Eric Schmidt had some comments at the Google Zeitgeist conference on Tuesday. Among the comments were, take all our free stuff, because apparently they gave away like a Google TV and a phone and all kinds of stuff. But he also said that they have an initiative referred to as Google Me inside the company. That isn't necessarily going to be the name of it, if you've heard that name bandied about.
By Kevin Rose, who dropped the original rumor that this was a big Facebook competitor that was going to be one product that would come out and tackle Facebook first, right head on. And Eric Schmidt says, nah, not exactly. No,
this is going to be integrated into all of their properties insidiously, infecting everything you do. It's actually the right way to go. Although one article I read compared it to Yahoo's way of doing it, which isn't very favorable, in that Yahoo has not been as very successful in that. But they want to just make it social across all their properties.
Right. So some of the examples that were given are things like Google social search. So you search for something, and at the bottom of your results might be an indication. Let's say you're searching for a restaurant in Chicago. Well, at the bottom of your search might be, oh, my friend posted a review on Yelp of I don't know, some great restaurant there.
Yeah, and they have some of that going on right now. If you sign up for it and you look at the bottom of your search.
And you have a profile.
So this would be more integrated than that, and it would be more widespread.
And don't think that they're doing this just for your benefit. Eric Schmidt says, if you think about it, this is a quote from him, it's obvious. With your permission, knowing more about who your friends are, we can provide more tailored recommendations. Search quality can get better, end quote. And I add, ad placement can get better.
Well, that's what this is all about. That's all Google wants is better ad placement. That's why they do everything that they do.
So if they know who you are, who your friends are, they'll get you to click more.
Also, Eric Schmidt doesn't think there'll be a double dip recession, so that's handy.
Yeah, he and Warren Buffett are in agreement on that, so go
He
nuts.
also made a passing swipe at Facebook. He said they hope to integrate users' Facebook contact information into its own products, whether Facebook is open to the idea or not. I guess they could just use Facebook Connect, but Facebook can block Facebook Connect as they did with Apple when they tried to integrate it into Ping without permission.
Well, it seems like we're getting a dichotomy of sort of allies here. So we've got on one side, we've got Google integrating its own social into its own search. And then on the other side, today there was an announcement from Facebook and Microsoft that they're strengthening their ties to integrate social in Facebook with search. And keep in mind that Microsoft has already made a very big investment, $240 million in Facebook in 2007. So maybe this is a real schism in terms of, okay, we've got Google creating their own social and Facebook and Microsoft aligning on the other side of the coin.
That's what, and that is exactly why Google has to do this, is because they know that is one way that they could lose big share to another search engine, whether it's Bing or anybody else. So they have to figure out how to include this kind of search, because that Facebook deal would give Microsoft access to data that Google could not get. So Eric Schmidt's little well, we could find other ways of getting it is sort of it's a war of words beginning. Another one. Good. We needed another war out there. All right, Craigslist did go in front of Congress, as we mentioned they would, and made a statement. William Clint Powell, Craigslist Director of Customer Service and Law Enforcement Relations, explained that he was providing testimony because CEO Jim Buckmaster was unable to travel. Founder Craig Newmark is focused primarily on his role as a member of the customer service team. He's not been involved in day-to-day management of the company for nearly 10 years, apparently. And according to Powell, Craigslist kept adult services, originally a section called erotic services, that was modified last year from the rest of the site so that it wouldn't be interspeared with other listings, so that it would be easier to keep an eye on legal and safety issues. And they touted the fact that they were the best at this, that they provided the most safeguards and the most cooperation.
And it seems like Craigslist's disruptor mentality played a part in the early way that this was kind of progressing, where they were under pressure. They tried to do things their way. Then they put the censored button up when they had to pull it down. And now it seems like the corporate guys have gotten a hold of them. And this was the statement from Powell. He says, "We look forward to assisting the subcommittee as it considers the role internet sites should play in combating domestic minor sex trafficking." And then he goes on to say, all the right things about, we look forward to sharing our learnings about, our best practices. It's so corporate speak. They've just decided, all right, roll over, give it up. This is not where we're going.
I don't take this as a rollover. I took this as a stand saying we were helping you. We were going to make this easy. And you being the attorneys general, not the Congress, put the kibosh on it. And now you don't have a way to keep an eye on these ads anymore because nobody was segregating them and helping you as much as us. We're willing to continue to help you in whatever way you want. If that's what you want, having no ads and no way to go after these people, fine. I took it as a little petulant.
And I think this is political theater at a certain point. Does anything get done in these hearings?
It's all they wanted is for Craigslist to come to this committee and say what they said so that they could have the 10 other groups come up there and say how awful it was that Craigslist was allowing these ads at all.
And then go home to their districts and say they're doing something about it.
Look what I did. Look what I looked into this. We called a committee. And there was also a letter came out from some international organizations asking Craigslist to get rid of the adult services section worldwide so that they would not exist in other sections because they only shut it down in the U.S. They also said, we kind of glossed over this, they will not reopen the adult services section.
Right.
So
they've made their stand.
If law enforcement came and said, "Will you reopen it because we want to be able to go after these guys?" Maybe.
You mean when pigs fly, when hell freezes over, and when the cops say, "Hey, can you open up that erotic services section?" I wouldn't
say pig fly. I would. There are definitely sheriff's offices that are upset that this is gone. There have been a few of them pipe up and say, "You know what? Well, this was helping us. We were able to get a lot more information on the bad guys this way." I don't think that you're going to see a big movement towards that. This is all a bunch of theater. Twitter's first revamp in 4 years was announced yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, they had an announcement. They had people come over to the Twitter headquarters near the 21st Amendment Brewery in Soma. And
that's south of Market in San Francisco.
Right by South Park. That's seriously, there's a place called South Park there. And unveiled a redesign, a first big redesign. They've done tweaks before. They've added things like lists and trending topics, but now they've got a 2-pane system. You may or may not be able to see it yet, though.
Yeah, it's a slow rollout, and it doesn't really matter if you're certified or not. It's just they're taking their time. And basically what this does with the 2-panel layout is if you click on a tweet on the left panel, it opens up the images, media, website, or video in the right panel. And it's very similar to the Twitter iPad app that has been out, where it does almost the exact same thing. You can see if you're watching here, we've got our Twitter iPad app, and it allows you to expand the media and let that take over the site as you scroll through tweets. Unless you think this is, again, for your benefit as a consumer, This is about getting you to spend more time on this Twitter website and not pop off to links. And that increases their engagement, and that increases, again, click-throughs and potential engagement with sponsors.
So I like it so far from what I've seen of it. I haven't been able to spend any time with it other than Leo's got it, so I was able to kind of mess around with his a little bit yesterday afternoon. But it looks good. And there have been plugins that have done this, like you mentioned, the app that's done it. And I like I don't care if this is some nefarious purpose. I don't even think it's nefarious, but I like the fact that it's good usability.
Right.
That I don't have to leave to view a picture, and I can still click through onto the main source if I want to find out more about it. One
sidebar is that Dick Costolo, who's the COO of Twitter, was talking to the D8 folks, and he was talking about their actual advertising experience. It's relatively new to Twitter, and he said that they are getting really high engagement rates, sometimes in the double digits for their paid placement ads, and also for paid trending topics in the single digit. That's way higher than you get on a website by far.
So far, a success. Google confirmed on Tuesday that it fired an employee earlier this year for violating its policies on accessing the accounts of its users. In other words, a real privacy violation, not a suspected one, not a trumped-up one, not one you debate over whether the Wi-Fi packets had enough. This was somebody who actually did some really bad stuff. His name was David Barksdale. He worked in Google's Seattle office, used his position as a key engineer evaluating the health of Google services to break into Gmail and Google Voice accounts of several children, and even unblocked himself on one account after somebody caught him.
Gawker was calling this guy G-creep. I mean, this is just a bad guy who happened to be in a position where he had access to people's information, and it was really creepy because It was the parents who complained to Google. It wasn't Google doing an internal audit and finding the guy, which, that's how could they in some senses, because he's basically there to troubleshoot and test some of the products, so he has this access. But this just sounds like a really bad guy. He calls himself a hacker, and he bragged to his friends that he could break into their Gmail accounts.
There's nothing hacking about it if you have access to the internal servers. That's not very elite.
No. I'm thinking the guy is really just crazy adolescent, because he was also engaging with 15-year-olds in totally adolescent behavior, which borders on creepy, although Google says there was no sexual misconduct that they can infer, but just really bad judgment
just
and
a weird
yuck.
Guy. Anyway, so real privacy violation with real consequences.
And Google took action as soon as they found out about it, it sounds.
Did you ever watch The Wire? See, I just watched it, so that's all I can talk about. The main gangster is Avon Barksdale, so that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this. All right, moving on to iOS 4.02 beta arriving for developers. Apple has made the announcement. It's in developers' hands now and will come to users in November and include AirPrint.
A couple of things to note. Unlike the beta for IE9, this is not publicly available. Even if you got your hands on it, you made the point you'd have to get your hands on
HP printer.
No, not that. This is the next iteration of Snow Leopard, right?
Oh, right. If you're a developer and you want to use this, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. You have to be using the beta version of, I think it's 10.6.5 of Snow Leopard, because the print serving is only in that beta version.
Right, and so it's not like this is something you can run out and test out on your iPad. But it's really cool because the biggest change we're seeing is it has multitasking.
Yeah, well, we expected that, right? It's multitasking for the iPad,
right?
Because we had multitasking on the iPhone, but you'll now with iOS 4.2 be able to print from your iPad and your iPhone and your iPod Touch.
Got it. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the other one. Now I'm back with you. Yes. I'm regrouping here.
Okay.
You with me now? I'm with you.
I never left.
You didn't. It's a blonde moment for me. You're talking about the printing thing. Yes, this is very cool. So the issue so far with printing on the iPad is that it was nearly impossible. I have an image that I pulled up this is how most people are printing on the iPad. They put it right down on the copier or the scanner, and then they just scan it and print a page out. Okay, not exactly.
Works.
Yeah, you have to email to yourself anything that you want to print. It's a real pain in the butt. So with the HP printers that we talked about, really when we first launched the show back in the early summer, these are the e-printers. They have their own email addresses, and now you can also print directly to these HP e-printers from the iPad.
Yeah, if they're on the same wireless network and they're connected, you don't have to go through anything. If you've got a printer that's not one of these HP printers, you can still do it. It just has to be networked through a Mac or PC that you can connect to from your iPod wirelessly.
Yes. Whew. Did we pull it back from the brink, Tom?
Shh. Never mention it again.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. I don't know what you're talking about. HTC had a big event in London today. Everybody's having events. Twitter had one yesterday. Nokia's been having one. The IDF's going on. HTC unveiled the Desire HD and the Desire Z Android handsets, as well as a revamped Sense UI.
Right. The HD's got the 4.3-inch screen. It's got Android 2.2. And basically, this is the Evo for the GSM world, right?
Well, that's it. The HD is Evo for the rest of the world, for the like you say, the GSM world. And then Z is a fold-out keyboard, nice-looking phone. The Sense UI has some tweaks that are pretty cool, including video editing software, a mapping tool, the ability to record HD videos and edit images with various camera effects. And HTC Locations provides on-demand mapping and an integrated e-reader that uses the Kobo store. Remember Kobo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they got themselves into the Sense UI. So some nifty stuff to look at there. Good-looking phones from HTC. Didn't expect anything else.
Nice.
Time now for the news fuse. The fuse of news. More details are leaking out about a possible Google Music service. Billboard magazine ranking the top 40 in the Hot 100 quotes industry sources who suggest that the first step would be a download store, much like iTunes and Amazon MP3. Alongside would sit a locker, a virtual locker. Sound familiar, Mr. Robinson, who tried this and got sued? You could put your songs and albums in it, store it, Stream it, download it to any internet-connected device. The locker is supposedly going to cost you 25 bones a year.
And I'll believe it when I see it. Microsoft will deliver a touchscreen PC that is no thicker than a sheet of glass. This within the next 3 years, according to Microsoft's Bill Buxton. The device will be the next generation of Microsoft's Surface project. Now, this is the really cool part. Buxton says it won't need a camera because the screen itself will have extra pixels that work as sensors, making the whole screen a camera.
Ooh, nifty. The bill is in for people who want to pay for the UK's Digital Economy Act.
Oh, I want to pay. I would do.
It's like a bistro math. They're splitting the bill. The UK's Department of Business, Innovation and Skills has called upon rights holders to pay 75% of the cost of copyright enforcement, while ISPs will foot the tip, the 25%.
Haystack, a privacy app developed to protect the identity of Iranian activists, has basically been forced to close down after security researcher Jacob Applebaum, he's Tor Project WikiLeaks, and tech writer Evgeny Morozov identified a significant and fundamental security hole in the service.
That's a sad thing, although the Haystack folks weren't cooperating with the rest of the community, apparently, so a lot of people were like, well, it's not a surprise. Newspapers are gearing up to offer subscription apps on Apple's iPad, but they're not pleased with the normal 30-70 split, where Apple keeps 30% of the profits. To sweeten the deal, Apple has agreed to provide an opt-in function for subscribers to allow Apple to share their information with the publishers. That's gold for the publishers, but it's opt-in, not opt-out.
You want to be like Lance Bass or Cirque du Soleil founder Guy Laliberté? No, I'm not just talking about
Richard Garriott.
Oh, yes, the video game developer.
I know what these guys have in common.
They all like to go to Las Vegas? No. Yeah,
cheating.
You're psychic. You're psychic. No, they're all space tourists or wannabe space tourists.
Tourists.
Boeing plans to start space tourism flights by 2015. It's a joint venture with Space Adventures and NASA. Sadly, no prices yet, but thousands, millions?
More.
Ugh.
Finally, dueling polls have been released in advance of the Supreme Court's hearing on violent video games. That's coming up in November. Common Sense Media, a group advocating restrictions on violent video games, says their poll found that 72% of U.S. adults back laws to ban the sales of ultra-violent or sexually violent video games without parental consent. The old ultra-violence. The Entertainment Software Association, on the other hand, found that 78%, that's 6 more percent, of U.S. adults should be afforded the protection of the First Amendment. You know, it is possible to believe both those things.
You lost me at video game study and Common Sense Media. As soon as those two words came out, I was like,
I know. We'll pick this back up in November when the Supreme Court gets involved, because then it'll mean something. How about using your license plate as an email address?
Okay, elaborate.
Tell me more. There is a company out there who has developed some software that'll do image recognition on license plates. That's the key part of this. So that the next time you're stuck in traffic, you can use bump.com, which allows you to send a message to the license plate by state and number.
So basically, this is like a QR code kind of thing where you could take your Bump app and use the embedded camera in your phone, snap a pic, and then it says, oh, yeah, this person's registered with Bump. You can definitely send her a message. There's only two reasons why you would do this. The person hits you or you want to hit on them.
Right. So they have to also be a member of Bump.com. And there's already Zapatag. If you just want to, you don't have to have anybody else registered. Zapatag, you just put in their license plate and say what they did, like cut you off or whatever. Go look up your license plate on Zapatag. Make sure you're not there.
Creepy.
You don't want to be there. But then Bump, it allows you to send messages back and forth just by license plate. I can't tell if this is creepy, cool, or totally useless. I think it's just totally useless.
It's totally useless, but I think it possibly points to a future where, like, there's RFID codes in our and QR codes built into our license plates.
If it was actually QR codes, it might get me more excited just because it was nifty.
Right. Like, okay, so here's the scenario. I rear-end you, so to speak, and instead of getting out of our cars, we can just wave and take QR code pics,
right, and
then use the app to send it to our insurance company.
Yeah, exactly. That's now you're thinking practically.
Yeah, see, that's my problem.
I know.
We're really talking about picking up hot chicks in their cars.
That's since Zapatag already exists for the road rage. That's probably what you want to use Bump.com. Also, it's called Bump.
Bump, come on.
I mean,
it's both uses. Tom, it's time for the calendar.
What is on the calendar?
Well, Samsung is having an event, just
Mystery
piling
event.
on. It's coming up Thursday, 9/16.
Probably going to be the U.S. unveiling of the Tab.
The
I hope
Galaxy
it is, actually.
Tab. You excited about that?
Yeah, I like the Tab. The Tab looks cool. I want to see more of it.
Okay, so we're going to see some Samsung Galaxy Tab, we hope. And the Media Hub, this is sort of their UI for videos and music and your pictures. And I'm never a fan of sort of, I like these things to be ubiquitous.
It's
I either want them to be
iTunes,
Microsoft or
right?
Apple. Like that's,
Yeah.
maybe, okay, Picasso, whatever, but even they don't. I just want something ubiquitous. So I'm never a fan of the flavored media UI.
The
so
hazelnut media UI.
No, not hazelnut or Irish cream. Final version of Windows Phone 7 developer tools will be available from Thursday on, and that just signals the fact that Windows Phone 7 coming down the pike. What do we think? October?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact date, but it's early October.
It's coming soon. Now,
11th?
the Intel Developer Forum. Let's see. Where should I start? Intel has taken their App Store for netbooks out.
They finally took the
of
app.
beta.
The App Store is real.
Yes,
for
it's
netbooks.
the real thing. It's the real thing.
Just in time for people to stop buying netbooks. Oh, well.
Retail outlets like Best Buy and Dixon's will carry netbooks with the App Store. It'll feature social networking, gaming, productivity apps. And I actually put out a tweet to Ken E. Kaplan, who's an Intel guy that I've known forever. And he retweeted to his followers saying, I want you to tell me what's happened at IDF in a tweet. And he had all these very lovely descriptions of everything that was going on. But one of his followers, a guy named Geekative, wrote back and said, Tunnel Creek is here. People love Intel App Up. Migo grows. Sandy Bridge equals stunning performance.
That's nice. That pretty much sums it up. The only thing that he left out was the context-aware API.
Which
showed
is?
off. I thought that was pretty cool. It uses both physical sensors like your accelerometer and your GPS and software sensors, so your social networks, your personal preferences, to figure out not only where you're going, but what you want to do next. And so Foders, the travel people, are the ones testing this out. So if you're traveling, it would be like, oh, we know you like Italian food. There's an Italian restaurant right around the corner.
Makes sense. I see. I think that's all we've got in the calendar, my friend.
On to the voicemail. Our first caller is happy that HDCP got cracked. Here's why.
Hey, TNT crew. Matt from Columbia, Maryland. Just listened to the episode where you talked about HDCP and the master key being exposed. And I, for one, have had enough of being an honest user and having to deal with all these workarounds because we're all treated like criminals who are buying and paying for a service. People who are going to steal are going to steal, and people who are willing to pay get penalized by the copy protection measures that are put on these devices. I have a TiVo HD and a Slingbox, and it is nearly impossible to utilize the HDMI output on the TiVo HD to connect in the Slingbox because of HDCP. So I, for one, am finally glad that there might be a workaround. Anyway, love the show. Thanks.
Tell it, brother.
He's advocating.
That's all I got to say.
And you think that Slingbox would totally agree with this?
Slingbox wants to use HDMI. HDCP won't. Yeah, it's a long story, but yeah, they're on Matt's side, I have a feeling.
So I just got asked to address the Consumer Electronics Association about 5 trends to watch.
Oh,
And I think I really want to talk about converged TV because I feel like while it's happening and it's here, there's no clear sense of where it's going from a consumer perspective because it's just like the Wild West out there. Everybody's kludging it all together.
It's been true for 2 years now, yeah.
I know.
I mean, how long has Hulu been around?
I know.
And it was supposed to be the thing.
I know.
But it wasn't the thing.
I know. And so, I'm just looking for one thing to rule one converged device service to rule them all. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a box maker. Although I did pre-order my Boxy, so I'm curious about that. I don't know if Avner's got the killer thing there, but I definitely am looking forward to trying it out.
You hear things like this from the email, and you realize how frustrating it is for people who are doing all the right things, and they still can't make it
that has
work.
nothing to do with the platform, though. That has to do with the industry.
Right.
We could go on forever, but we would not be letting Glenn talk.
Right.
He's our next caller. He has a question about EULAs, which are almost as frustrating as copyright protection.
Hey, TNT show. This is Glenn in Atlanta, Georgia. The other day, you guys were talking about EULAs. I seem to remember something, news story a while back about somebody that had their cat actually hit the button on the keyboard to accept a EULA. So how does that come into play? Thanks.
then your cat is bound to the terms of the EULA. And I think from then on, you'll have to have your cat respond to any legal issues that you. Yeah, I mean, this is why EULAs are so silly. You could just say your cat responded to it. The judge is still going to go, well, you're still bound by the terms. It's shrink wrap. Yeah. You're not actually agreeing to anything. It doesn't matter whether the cat hit it or not, sadly. All right. Sam in New Jersey said, I just listened to everyone upset that Intel is trying to move toward a model where executable code needs to be signed to prevent malware. We talked about this yesterday's show. The idea of having some malware prevention at the hardware level. Sam says, I don't mind the concept as long as I get to choose which root certificates to trust. The Android market requires all apps to be signed. It's just that the developers self-sign them. If Intel is coming up with a way to facilitate that in hardware, more power to them. If malware can't modify the code on my machine because that will break the signature, I can handle that. It just means that when I compile my own code, there'll be a post-compilation signing process before I can run it. But it doesn't stop him from doing open source. So he's happy.
I didn't hear the whole story yesterday, but I mean, I think if you do this at a hardware level, you would hope that it would really take a lot of the guesswork out for Joe Sixpack when he's doing this.
Yeah, or Joe the plumber.
Or
either one.
Or Joe, yeah. No,
as long as it doesn't get in the way of running code that I want to download openly and freely on the internet, I'm cool with it. The lot remains to be seen.
And does this make Intel the great arbiter of it?
It could, depending on how they implement it. If they implement it the way he's saying, no, it wouldn't. So that's good.
Right. Right. Well, yeah. Then there's the social networking aspect. I mean, the social engineering aspect that someone else.
Well, yeah, we had another emailer. It's like, it doesn't matter what they encrypt. Although signed code, hard to social engineer your way out of. Not impossible.
Yeah. All right. Next email is from, I'll get there eventually. It's a really good one. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's from Rob. Hey, TNTers, I have a question. Oh, will you set this up and tell what the story was about first yesterday?
Oh, yeah. So we got a caller. Well, we'd been talking about voice-activated remotes for a while on the show. And yesterday we had a caller who said he used the Ashley voice-activated remote, where he said, Ashley, get up and change the channel.
On that note, I have a question. I have to question your choice to endorse the Ashley and Adrian lines of voice-activated remotes. Similar products tend to not only be difficult to program, but when the programming is not done perfectly, the unit can adopt unpredicted behaviors. My own Xander line of remote has sadly been permanently programmed to turn off the TV after every program, forcing me to get up and manually turn the TV back on, often having to locate or relocate the remote to another part of the room. For 3 months, I've been trying to reprogram it not to turn off the TV quite so quickly, but it appears that these lines of remote have some sort of glitch that caused them to overgeneralize the code into unique instructions. I also caution your listeners from trying to develop their own Jenny line of remotes. This particular line can lead to personal injury if misused. The last time I attempted to activate it by saying, Jenny, if you don't like what's on, get up and find the remote yourself, I was treated to a black eye and sundry other minor contusions.
Black eye?
So, he says, show a little more caution in your reporting, TNT crew.
We'll take that under advisement.
Thank you, Rob.
In future. Becky, great to have you back on the show.
Oh, I feel like I haven't been here for ages. Sorry.
It was just Thursday, but...
I know, but yesterday I was supposed to be here, but then I got called away for breaking news about airplane seats that are shaped like saddles.
And the verdict?
They hurt your butt. Especially if you're wearing jeans with large seams in them.
What a surprise.
Yes, and I couldn't even say it adequately on morning television. How do you talk about your crotch on TV? It's horrible. Thank God for podcasts.
It's the bane of the modern existence.
I know.
All right, folks, thanks for watching. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. Email us, TNT@twit.tv, or give us a call, 260-TNT-SHOW. We need your voicemails, but keep them short, like 30 seconds or so. All right? We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.